All right, 7:03 here on the East Coast. President Trump is set to talk to Vladimir Putin tomorrow as he pushes for an end to the Russia-Ukraine war.
And in the Middle East, Iran is vowing escalation with the U.S. after the White House ordered airstrikes on the Houthi rebels in Yemen.
Yep, because we threatened Iran at the same time because we know they're behind it. And Yemen has answered today for our strikes over the weekend. We have knocked their drone attack out of the sky. Jackie Heinrich did a great job on Fox News Sunday. Joins us now. Hey, Jackie.
She did.
Hey, good morning, and thank you, guys. Russia has refused to accept an unconditional ceasefire, but Steve Witkoff says the administration is still hoping to see that ceasefire happen within weeks. And tomorrow, President Trump's going to be looking for some concessions from Russia on his call with Putin.
I'll be speaking to President Putin on Tuesday. A lot of work's been done over the weekend. We want to see if we can bring that war to an end. Maybe we can, maybe we can't, but I think we have a very good chance.
It's still not clear if Putin is moving toward a ceasefire or if this is a stall tactic, especially after a European intelligence service uncovered a document prepared for the Kremlin by a group close to the FSB, reportedly, laying out ways that Putin should delay while continuing to dismantle Ukraine, including with some of the moves we've seen play out so far and proposals we've seen from Russia. Over the weekend, leaders from 25 countries convened virtually. They put out assessments that Putin isn't serious about peace. They called instead for maximum pressure from the West.
How do you know President Trump isn't being played right now by Putin?
Well, look, that's almost laughable. I'll take President Trump in dealing with the likes of Xi, of Kim Jong-un, with Putin and others. Certainly, ahead of his predecessor, we know who we're dealing with. We know who we're dealing with on all sides. And we are going to engage in diplomacy. We are engaging in diplomacy, and that will involve both carrots and sticks to get both sides to the table.
Carrots and sticks. We are watching for more. Meantime, the administration launched an opening salvo to what we're told could be a weeks-long campaign against the Houthis in Yemen after they resumed Red Sea shipping attacks. The president had a very firm message for Iran. Listen.
There's no way the Houthis, the Houthis would have the ability to do this kind of thing unless they had support from Iran. And so this was a message to Iran. Don't keep supporting them, because then you will also be responsible for what they are doing in attacking Navy ships, in attacking global shipping.
Now, the Ayatollah rejected the president's offer for talks over their nuclear program, but the White House is still pushing to resume that conversation as Israel continues to push for a joint U.S.-Israel operation on Iran's nuclear facilities, guys.
Wow, thanks, Jackie. So this morning, can we bring her back for a second?
Oh, you want to talk to her?
Yeah. Jackie, you still there?
I'm here, yep.
Okay. So this morning, we understand the Houthis have answered back with drones, even though we've knocked them out of the sky. The word is we use like $100 million, like $100,000 missiles to knock down $50 drones. So are we doing that again? Was that a message that the Houthis saying, I'm keeping this waterway closed?
It's a good question, but obviously there's, going to be a difference between the capabilities of the U.S. and, what the Houthis are doing. But the administration's message was clear that they're going to wipe out the leadership and they're going to crush them, basically, and make the message hard to ignore that if you continue these pinprick attacks, you're basically going to get leveled.
But guess who's giving them coordinates so they know exactly where the shipping is? Russia.
Yeah.
Russia and Iran. Russia is providing the coordinates from the satellite technology, so they're behind it. It doesn't work on anyone's behalf yet to say to Russia, but that's probably part of the conversation Steve Witkoff is having. Thanks so much,
Jackie.
Yeah, Donald Trump is saying, you're not going to interrupt our international waterways the way that Biden allowed you to. We're going to protect our ships. You've been interrupting these American ships for a long time. And remember, they are a proxy of Iran. And Iran should be very afraid because their finances could be destroyed if we hit their refineries, if we hit their nuclear facilities, if those are taken out. Because based on the latest IAEA report, Iran is getting close to getting nukes. That should be very scary. But I guarantee, Lawrence, it's a safe bet. Israel and America will not let that happen.
Well, they're not going to let it happen. And I think you're seeing this interesting thing from the president, this carrot and stick approach. He wants peace around the world. He said as much. But when it comes to attacking Americans, you know, the last administration were allowing just TBIs to happen against our soldiers, attacking our bases as well. Pete Hegseth is saying it's not going to happen under this administration.
We're sitting on 4 years of deferred maintenance from Joe Biden, where in particular, when you talk about the Houthis, they were allowed for over 100 times to shoot at U.S. ships, to shoot at commercial shipping. 4 months ago, when we sent a ship through, it was shot at 17 times. Ships haven't been able to go through for over a year without being shot at. Freedom of navigation is basic, and President Trump has said, we will restore that, and we will be unrelenting. I want to be very clear. This campaign is about freedom of navigation and restoring deterrence. The minute the Houthis say, we'll stop shooting at your ships, we'll stop shooting at your drones, this campaign will end. But until then, it will be unrelenting.
Well, we know too, Chinese ships can get through, Russian ships can get through, the rest isn't. So it's costing us billions of dollars to go through South Africa rather than use those waterways. That's unacceptable. That's got to change. Obviously, it's going to be a little bit harder. I would say a couple of things. Number one, we told Iran, we know you're behind this. Iran responded by saying, if threatened, we will give appropriate and crushing responses. All right, what Trump is saying, just to build on what you're saying, I'm going to try.
I'm trying.
But your response will outline how much damage is done, because for a moment, the S-400 missile defense system is down. Part of their nuclear reactors are damaged, thanks to Israel. And now, without the 2,000-pound bombs that Joe Biden refused to give them, now they could do it, and we'll be supporting them full time. So the window's open, and Netanyahu is dying to go through it, because if we wait too long, they get a nuclear weapon.
So let's talk about what's happening at the latest with the Columbia University guy, the guy who was supporting Hamas, the guy who was the leader telling you to go into these classes, storm the Israel classes, give out pamphlets that are pro-Hamas, walk into that hall, Hamilton Hall, shut it down, don't let anyone in it, scare everybody. This is the guy that's been arrested, who is being kept in a detention center, and Donald Trump wanted to deport him. The judges said, hold on, not yet, because he has a green card. But Marco Rubio had a very powerful Sunday show interview saying this guy is a guest in our country. We can deport him if we want to.
Every day now we're approving visa revocations, and if that visa led to a green card, the green card process as well. And here's why. It's very simple. When you apply to enter the United States and you get a visa, you are a guest. And you're coming as a student, you're coming as a tourist, or what have you. And in it, you have to make certain assertions. And if you tell us when you apply for a visa, I'm coming to the U.S. to participate in pro-Hamas events, that runs counter to the foreign policy interest of the United States of America. It's that simple. So you lied. You came, if you had told us that you were going to do that, we never would have given you the visa. Now you're here. Now you do it. So you lied to us. You're out. It's that simple.
But is there any evidence of a link to terrorism, or is it just his point of view?
Yeah, they take over. You should watch the news. These guys take over entire buildings.
Another despicable performance from Brennan over the weekend. She also said, when the Secretary of State kept saying he is pro-Hamas, she responded by saying, are you going to go and deport every pro-Palestinian person that's on a green card? That's nothing to do with being pro-Palestinian. If you want to support the rights of a free country when it comes to the Palestinian people, great, good on you. You have a First Amendment right to do that. But that being said, if you're on campus and you're the lead negotiator, as they take over campuses, they block Jews from attending their classes, American Jews, people that are American citizens that have the right to go to class, then you're going to be deported from this country if you're on a green card. It is not a right. It is a privilege. And finally, we have Secretary of State and Commander-in-Chief and Donald Trump that realized that.
Well, by the way, if you're a pro-Hamas, pro-Palestinian activist, you're going to need some more road tag and some more sheets, because there's going to be more leaders of this pro-Hamas movement on these college campuses being tossed out.
That's right.
So it's not just going to be Khalil, it's going to be a lot more. What they say is he's an organizer behind it. He was negotiating with the Columbia brass to order de-escalate and get out. Now, a year ago, they did a year-long investigation, air quotes, where they decided now, yesterday or Friday, who's going to be tossed out and suspended because of their actions.
Because they lost the funding.
They lost their
That's right.
$400 million. So Secretary of State Rubio has asked, well, what proof do you have? I would like to see. This is what they got. You can be pro-Palestinian. I get it. But you can't be pro-Hamas. And you can't deny October 7th existed. You can't say that be anti-Semitic and stop people from going to class. So say, well, did he do that? Well, did he organize that? And when you hand out flyers that say Sinwar and Nasrallah are basically your leaders in this, you're showing exactly where you stand. And I would say this. I'm looking at this guy's timeline. He's born in Syria, gets over to London, joins this pro-Palestinian organization. Next thing you know, he applies to Colombia, gets in. What kind of transcript did he have to get into Colombia? I know people with 102 averages at elite schools. They can't get into any Ivy League schools. Why are you bringing in some guy you don't know anything about except from a war-torn country and an activist in another country? Why do you get into Colombia? How much money did you get? You have a $76,000 check to write? Of course not. So you get grants to come here, fomenting outrage and finding a bunch of professors who are singing from the same hymnal. So there's a lot of crazy stuff going on out there.
Are those grants taxpayer dollars?
Yeah, I mean, they're probably from the endowment.
At its core, I don't want people here on visas or green cards that hate our country. I don't want them here. I don't want them here. I don't want them.
And if you hate our country, why are you here anyway?
That's right. And if you're a Democrat, again, it's like cheering for men and women's sports. Congratulations. Khalil's your guy. Go run on that. There's not many Americans who are thinking like he's thinking, that Israel's a terrible place and they're responsible for the genocide on January 7th.
All right, it's 1:15. More fallout for Democrats as they lash out at Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer. Maddie Rivera is in Washington with more. Hey, Maddie.
Hi, guys. Good morning. There are a lot of Democrats who don't agree with Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer's argument that a government shutdown would have played right into President Trump's hands. They argue Schumer failed to meet the moment in this funding fight and squandered one of the party's rare moments of leverage. Now, there are calls, particularly among progressives, for someone new to lead Senate Dems. Democratic Connecticut Senator Chris Murphy was asked if he's interested in Schumer's role. Listen to what he said.
Many of your supporters responded online saying you should replace Leader Schumer. Is that something that you would consider? Would you consider that role?
I mean, I don't think anybody's having that conversation right now. What's important is that we meet this moment. If we continue to engage in business as usual, this democracy could be gone.
The funding fight reveals just how divided Democrats are as they try and push back against the Trump administration. They can't agree on a strategy. Take this, for instance. Pennsylvania Senator John Fetterman criticized this video of Democrats doing Choose Your Fighter videos. And here's Texas Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett responding.
He's not the one to talk about anything. I mean, this is a guy that doesn't seemingly want to own a suit. I'm not really sure. But I don't show up in hoodies when I'm going on the floor. It is important that people see that we're real people. And even if that means that there's a moment to laugh, that's okay, especially since it seems like we're doing more crying than anything. So I just don't think that he's necessarily the one to actually have an opinion about this.
Schumer maintains he has the support of his caucus, but no doubt he'll have some work to do ahead to try and repair his relationship with House of Dems who say they feel betrayed. Lawrence Ainsley and Brian.
All right. Thanks, Maddie.
You would think a lot of people would say, okay, he's trying to work with the Republican Party, but apparently, according to some latest polls, 65% of Democrats say they don't care about compromising with the Republicans or with Donald Trump, and they just want the Democrats to stick to their issues. But that was only 33% in 2017 during Trump's first term. So you can see where the Democratic Party is now. The majority of them don't want him to compromise and follow suit, and they were for him shutting the government down.
New York Post has an editorial today. He had zero leverage. He said Schumer did what he thought was right for the country and the party in avoiding a shutdown last week. The selfish showboaters are slamming him for it. He's quite right. So it would be a triple loss to the Democratic Party. As Senate Dems use the filibuster to stop the bill to fund the government through September, people would get hurt. They do a shutdown, and Donald Trump would decide what was going to get funded. Isn't that your worst nightmare? Mitch McConnell would have got people on the right angry if he was in the same spot. He goes, I don't have the leverage. I don't want to shut the country down. We don't have the votes, so we got to get the 60. By the way, this is Joe Biden's budget 100%. With defense.
I know, they were for it in September and December, too.
And if he wanted to do it right, he could have built out, they built out 11 of 12 conferences came out with their recommended budget. He took none of it to the floor when he was the majority leader.
They just want to resist, and I think when you look at the core of the Democrats, and I don't bash voters, all right, you can vote for whatever you want, but the Democratic voters, they want this type of crazy. They love this radical agenda, and it's okay. You can stick with it. But I'm just telling you, you're not going to win over Republicans, and you're not going to win over independent voters. And you need the middle of the country to win elections. So stick with this. The voters, time and time again, during election time, the latest polling, the president's approval numbers, the Democratic approval numbers are down in the water. It's not going so well. So do you want the agenda, or do you want to win?
He had Crockett versus Fetterman, AOC against Sinema. You just had to sit back and go, I was like, wait, can I get anything GOP? I can't believe this fighting that's going on. It is like the UFC.
Because the party is divided. You have the extremes and then you have the moderates.
All right, by the way, there's another major story, and it's with the weather. At least 40 people are dead after a massive storm system tears through multiple states. You got hurricane force winds, violent tornadoes, torrential rain. They ripped through communities, destroying hundreds of homes.
I called a really good friend of mine, and he says, no, you're not staying. Get up to my house. A few minutes after we left and got up there, that it hit, and it just destroyed it.
So the National Guard has been deployed to Arkansas, and President Trump says his administration is ready to assist state and local officials as they rebuild. The storm's strong winds are pushing deadly wildfires in Oklahoma and Texas, torching 107,000 acres in Oklahoma alone and destroying hundreds of homes and businesses.
And look at this wild scene from Alabama. A tornado so powerful, it picked up that school bus right there, then dropped it onto the roof of a school. We have team coverage this morning. We have our Fox News senior meteorologist, Janice Dean. She's tracking it all. But we begin with our Fox weather correspondent, Robert Ray, on the ground in Mississippi. Robert?
Yeah, good morning from Tylertown, Mississippi, guys. And look at this disaster behind me. It's been a weekend of weather hell, tornadoes that have ripped apart so many communities as the frost sits here this morning on this debris field, and it is nasty. Multiple people have died here in Tylertown, at least 40 across multiple states, and National Weather Service is assessing as people are mourning the death of loved ones and trying to understand what just happened with the amount of twisters that moved through so many communities. We've been on the ground traversing, trying to save ourselves within these supercells and trying to report on all the people going through this hell. We spoke to people all weekend. Listen to this man in Elliott, Mississippi on Saturday, right after a tornado hit his community.
Siren going off there about 4 or 5 times, and then we felt the wind coming through, and then all of a sudden it got like a freight train. All of a sudden it just boom, boom, and just tore all everything up. We come right there, got in that side right there, and all of a sudden we heard the top, boom. Oh my gosh. And then I said, I can't go out there and move them cars because all this stuff is debris, is blowing and everything. I just let it win, I couldn't do nothing.
Unbelievable to hear the stories, and as the pickup continues today in this town, 2 twisters hit Tylertown on Saturday within a half hour, we are told by residents that experienced it. What you see behind me is the scenes all over this community and many areas of Mississippi and multiple states. This is the beginning of spring season and severe weather. I hope it's not indicative of what's ahead, guys. Back to you.
Yeah, hope not either.
All right, thanks, Robert. Appreciate it.
All right, let's check with our senior meteorologist, Janice Dean, who's tracking what we can expect from the remnants of this storm. Janice?
Yeah, the rest of it is moving across the East Coast. Here in the Northeast, we've got rain and wind, and by this afternoon, it should be exiting into the Atlantic. But taking a look, 649 severe thunderstorm warnings, over 300 tornado-warned storms, and 53 confirmed tornadoes in several different states. We've got surveys ongoing, but we had 2 EF4. That's, one of the highest levels you can have, and those 2 were in one state, Arkansas, and that's why
why the National Guard is going in there. We also had heavy rain, 3 to 5, 5 to 8 inches, and that caused flooding in some of these areas. You talked about the fire danger. That's going to be ongoing not only today, but for the rest of the week, as we've got dry conditions and very gusty winds. So close to a dozen states here under some sort of fire weather warning. Here's your forecast today. That area of low pressure, it's cold front pushing off the east coast. We're still going to deal with the potential for some nasty weather across the northeast. We've got a quick system moving across the Great Lakes, and then over the west, this is our next weather maker, bringing snow, wind, some severe weather for parts of the central U.S., but maybe even blizzard conditions as we go into Wednesday, Thursday. So yes, as Robert mentioned, we are into the season of severe weather. We've got weeks ahead of us, and this one, of course, was just terrible with the loss of life and so much destruction across the U.S. We'll continue to keep you up to date.
Yeah, when we started the show, there were 36 people dead, and now there are 40.
Unfortunately, I think that's going to go up when the sun comes up and we get people out there.
Praying for those folks.
All right.
Thanks, JD.
Thanks so much. All right, Carl Shimkus, other side of the room with the latest news.
Yeah, that's right. And the latest out of the Dominican Republic, guys, Joshua Reeby, the key witness in the case of the missing University of Pittsburgh student Suriksha Kanaki, is expected to be questioned again today. Family friends of his say the Rock Rapids community stands behind and supports Joshua and his family. Josh has an unwavering devotion to his faith and a genuine kindness towards others. Reeby has not officially been named a suspect or been accused of any crimes. We are getting the first look at Pope Francis since he was hospitalized with double pneumonia over a month ago. The Vatican snapping this picture of the Pope observing Sunday Mass, sitting near the altar with his back towards the camera. The Pope has been recovering at a Rome hospital since February 14th. Doctors just recently declared him to be, quote, out of danger of death. Those are your headlines, guys. Back over.
That's excellent news.
Then.
Thank you. The Trump administration sending more than 250 illegal migrants to a mega prison in El Salvador.
What is our Tom Holman gives us the details next.
So this morning, hundreds of illegal immigrants, some with alleged gang ties, are no longer in the country. The Trump administration deporting them to an El Salvador mega prison. It comes as an Obama-appointed judge temporarily blocks the president from using the Wartime Act for deportations. White House border czar Tom Holman joins us now. So, Tom, this is a promise made, a promise kept, but it looks like a judge is trying to stop this. Why?
I don't know why. I don't know why any judge would want terrorists returned to the United States. I mean, first of all, the video, what a beautiful thing to see.
It's incredible.
Right? Look, the President Trump, by proclamation, invoked the authorities of the Alien Enemies Act, which has rights to do, and it's a game changer. And we removed over 200 violent criminals in the United States, just not TDA, but also MS-13. The advent of President Trump made this country safer. Every criminal public safety threat and national security threat removed in this country makes this country safer. That's what American voters voted for. That's their mandate to the president. The president's keeping his promise. This President Trump's a game changer. The Alien Enemies Act has been used a long time. And when I watched the video and I saw and I was involved this week in this whole movement, it's an extraordinary thing what the President Trump is doing to keep his promise to American people to make this country safe again. And it's going, and he's doing a fabulous job.
So, Tom, I look at this judge. The flights were already in the air, in international waters. How did the judge get involved? Did these immigrants that were in the country illegally, did their lawyers get involved and make a petition to the judge? How did this happen? How did the judge know about the flights being in the air?
Again, information was leaked somehow. I don't quite know how it got leaked, but there was a emergency court hearing on five people that were on schedule to be deported. The judge had a written order that said these 5 people can't be removed right now. It wasn't until this flight was already in international waters, heading down to El Salvador, that the judge made some comment about returning the flights. We're already in international waters. We're outside the borders of the United States. I'm the border czar. Once you're outside the border, it is what it is. But they're in international waters, already on the way south, close to landing. You know what? We did what we had to do. Remove terrorists, significant public safety threats from the United States. By the order of the proclamation by the President of the United States, we did the right thing.
Tom, You say that it was 5 that were on there where this emergency hearing was coming. So why is the judge asking for the entire flight to be returned?
Your guess is as good as mine. Once you got some radical judge who makes a decision.
This can't happen.
That just defies logic. I mean, who in the right mind, whether you're a judge or not, wants known public TDA, a recognized terrorist organization, sent here by the Maduro regime to create havoc, to unsettle the United States through the use of fentanyl to kill thousands of Americans, violence to American citizens, raping and murdering young women in this country. They are enemies of this country, and President Trump treated them as enemies, and we did exactly what we should have done. Again, President Trump is going to make this country safe again. He's going to do it one illegal alien at a time, and this weekend, we did 261.
So Tom, what's next? Because I'm getting a little worried about the manpower. These guys they have to be tired. You got 30 guys in the stack going on different busts every single day. You're going to run out of money. It doesn't look like you're getting support from the Democrats on this. You're going against the judges now. What's next?
Another flight every day. Teams are going to be out there every day. Every day, the men and women of ICE are going to be in the neighborhoods of this nation arresting criminal, illegal aliens, public safety threats, and national security threats. Lawrence, you're not going to stop us. We made a promise to the American people. The President Trump has made a promise to the American people. We're going to make this country safe again. I wake up every morning loving my job because I work for the greatest president in the history of my life, and we're going to make this country safe again. I'm proud to be a part of this administration. We're not stopping. I don't care what the judges think. I don't care what the left thinks. We're coming.
Yeah. I just love seeing you going through these protesters just crunching on the apple as their liberal tears just flood the hallway. Tom Holman, thanks so much for joining the program.
You got it. Thank you.
So a new health warning about water bottles. Dr. Mark Siegel tells us what it's all about. And an Irish step dancers are bringing the St. Patrick's Day spirit all the way to Fox and Friends all morning long.